everyone, it's great to see you. It is a beautiful time in the garden now. I love that the hydrangeas are in bloom, the daylilies are in bloom, and today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about how I take care of my hydrangeas. So around this time of year, this is when we typically see hydrangeas maybe get some problems. One of the problems that you might see with your hydrangeas is that of chlorosis. The leaves start to turn yellow. And it's not just a regular turning of yellow, because there's a lot of reasons leaves can turn yellow. We've had a ton of rain. Too much water can cause the leaves to turn yellow, but this looks different. If you end up seeing a hydrangea with leaves like this is what I'm talking about. So if you look carefully here, these leaves are yellowing, but the veins are a real deep green still. And that's where you differentiate between my plant just has too much water or it's in shock and the leaves are turning yellow and falling off from an iron deficiency, chlorosis. You have to have the fleshy part turning yellow and the veins staying that deep dark green. Now, this little hydrangea was shipped to me. Usually I order from a hydrangea nursery, but this particular type of hydrangea I couldn't find anywhere. And I found it at a big box store online. So hydrangeas are not particularly their specialty, and they shipped it to me, and when it got here, it looked really, really sad. It needed to be watered. In fact, I can lift this right up like, it doesn't have a great root system. And this is after it's been here for 2 weeks and I've been babying it and watering it. Okay, well, that didn't work well. I have dirt everywhere. So along with it just looking sad in general, it has an iron deficiency. I can tell because of those yellow leaves. And it has a number of leaves that, if you look carefully, they're kind of like dried up on the ends and blackened, just not looking really good. So I'm going to show you what I would do, what I am doing, when I get a plant like this. That these plants, they will be fine. This hydrangea is going to be gorgeous. This is a violet crown hydrangea, by the way, so I'm very excited about this. And let me go through the process of, if you happen to somehow get a hydrangea that needs that little extra care and is similar in its need for iron to this one, this is what you're going to do. Because we're going to be dealing with fertilizer and in particular iron, I am going to put gloves on. I always recommend that you wear some type of glove when you are dealing with fertilizer. And we're going to plant this new hydrangea into a grow bag. So you know that I love grow bags. There are all different brands and sizes. This is a 5-gallon grow bag, and I'll put the link down below. It's bigger than this pot, so it's going to have plenty of space to grow. But you know, you can keep a hydrangea in a grow bag this size for years. Honestly, it is fabulous. The other reason I like grow bags is that it helps the roots to air prune. So you know how it is when you get a plant in a plastic pot and those roots have coiled around and it's so root bound, the roots just won't grow out normally unless you loosen them all up. That doesn't happen in a grow bag like this. Instead, the roots grow out and they'll start to grow through the fabric. They hit the air and they just stop. And so you have this beautiful network of roots. It's so much healthier for your plant. So I'm going to use my grow bag. Now, when I'm planting it up, I place the grow bag in a nursery pot because it's going to give it the structure that it needs as I fill it with dirt and it won't just collapse in front of me. So I highly recommend you keep a bunch of nursery pots on hand too. Once again, that's just a 5-gallon one. I buy them in bulk from Home Depot, and I'll put that link below. So I'm going to start by adding potting mix to this. So you don't want to use soil in this. Don't go dig it up from your garden. You do want a potting mix. It's really not soil at all. It's going to be lighter, it's going to allow for good drainage, and that's what you need when you have a plant, any plant that's going into a pot, but especially one that's going to need that little extra care here that you're giving it. Now, this is not a sponsored video. I tend to use Miracle-Gro moisture control potting mix. I've just had a lot of luck with it over the years, but any potting mix is fine. So I'm just going to begin by filling this up about halfway. Okay. And I lightly tamp it down. You don't want to pack it too much, but a little bit. And then I'm going to sort of like make space for the plant. Great. Now the other thing I have here, switch my bags out, is Biotone starter fertilizer. This time of year, we're mid-July now. You can get away with adding regular fertilizer usually to the end of July. After July, you don't want to add fertilizer. However, the Biotone starter I do tend to use with any plant that's going into a new place, either in the ground or in the pot, even into the fall, because I want to make those roots really grow well, and this has the capacity to help with that. So I'm going to add about a handful, maybe a little bit more than a handful, and mix that in. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to take my plant, and we've already seen how easily it comes out here. Okay. Now, if you had a plant that was very root bound, you would need to separate the roots a little bit. Some people actually take like a bread knife and cut off the edges, but this is a pretty young hydrangea, I can tell. So I'm just going to place that in there, and then I'm going to backfill around the edge with some more of this potting mix and get it nice and situated and happy in here. And I do tamp that down lightly because we don't want the hydrangea to just like blow over. We want enough soil in there to keep it in its place. I leave about an inch from the top of the bag free of soil because as I water this, I'm going to want the water to pool at the top and have time to run down, rather than if I fill it all the way up to the top and I go to water it, it just shoot, goes right over the edge, and that is not what you are hoping for. With all this rain that we've had, it happens during rainstorms too. Like you need to give a little bit of space so that when it rains, so that when you water it, there's some space for it. Okay, so now I have it in a good sized pot. I know that it has the Biotone starter fertilizer in the bottom. I'm already feeling better about this plant. Now I need to address the yellow leaf issue. So the yellow leaves with the, oops, sorry, gotta get the dirt out of here first. There we go, looking better. The yellow leaves with the dark green veining, meaning it has an iron deficiency. There's a couple ways that you can address that. So I could start using Proven Winners liquid fertilizer, which has iron in it. I'm going to go for the Iron Tone from Espoma. Now, this is a granulated iron, and you sprinkle, it's about, they say about a cup to a tree or a big bush. Even though this is going to be a bush, it's not like a bush yet. I would say this is like flower size here. If it's an individual flower that you're treating, you're only looking to add half a tablespoon of this. So your bag of Iron Tone is going to last a very, very long time. It is just a small amount. And it takes, because this is a longer term solution, it takes a while to see it work. It's going to take, so I have to say, last year when I did this on my plants, I did see results in about a week. But they say maybe 2, even 3 weeks. So give it time to work. Don't panic if your hydrangea continues looking like this for a while. You have to give it a few weeks to really uptake that iron. And then you're allowed to use this between 1 and 3 times in your season. I have to say, when I've used it before, I've used it once and it's been fine. So you wait, you use it once, you see if it works, wait that good 3 weeks. Then if you need to give another half tablespoon, it's potent stuff, then you could. So I'm going to reach in, and of course, because this is fertilizer, okay, so I scooped out a lot. That looks like maybe 2 tablespoons to me, so I'll dump out some. And you could be a lot more exact than I am and actually get something to measure it with. Don't spill it on yourself. And you're just gently going to sprinkle it around, and then you're going to take your hand and scratch it in a little bit into the soil. So now remember, hydrangeas have shallow roots. So you don't need to put this like a foot underneath your hydrangea. You just, like with all fertilizers, put it around, scratch it in a bit, and then water it. And as you water it, it's gonna sink down and the roots will be able to access that. So now I have to go get some water. So I'm gonna water this in now. And you'll want to keep an eye, of course, more closely on any of your hydrangeas that start to struggle this time of year. Oh, that looks so much better. So I'm expecting, sorry, there we go. So I'm expecting a full recovery from the chlorosis that this plant has, from its tough shipping and arrival here, and I think it will be absolutely fine. Now, violet crown hydrangea is a beautiful bicolor hydrangea, and last year I actually ordered from the same place 4 little tiny cuttings of violet crown. They didn't have a bigger plant, and over the winter 2 of those died. After the winter, I had the 2 little babies left, and with all of our rain, they just flooded the pots and drowned out. So this year I'm starting with a bigger plant. I think this will be a much better solution. And that happens sometimes. You do the best you can with your plants, but you know how it is. Not all of them are going to make it. You chalk it up to learning experience and you move on. But I think this violet crown has a much better chance of making it. So chlorosis is one of the problems that we run into this time of year. The other thing that you run into this time of year is you're going to notice that some of your flowers are starting to brown. And I'll be talking about that in an upcoming video. So please like and subscribe so you can see what to do if you see your flowers have started to brown on your hydrangea. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.